welcome back to Sweets with Sodi. I'm excited for today. It's a little bit different of an episode. I've had the thought of doing this for a little bit, and I've decided I probably should sit down and do this. Today I just wanted to really talk more about my food journey, which kind of sounds a little bit strange, and I believe everyone has their own kind of food journey that they go through. But to preface what we're going to be talking about today, I'll give a little bit of a story, more of what was going on in my life the past week or two. But so every Wednesday, my favorite show of all time comes on, and that is Survivor. Literally the best show ever. Go watch it. Like, I love it so much. It's one of the best. But last week, my grandma, she's amazing. She records it, and we sit down together and we watch it. That's like one of highlights of my week. We sit down and we watch Survivor together, and we get so excited. Such a great season. But something in this last episode really caught my attention that made me really like one of the players a lot more than what I already had. And so this player, his name is Jake O'Kane. And coincidence or not, he's from Boston, so it's just really cool that I've spent a lot of time there. That's where I served my mission, and I had the opportunity to be there. But anyways, so long story short, couple of the episodes, Jake had gotten up too fast, and he had fallen to the ground, kind of fainted, and kind of what it looked like a mini seizure on camera and everything, on the ground, and then you get up and you'd be fine. But later he goes on to tell us and talk about how for years and years he struggled with binge eating, how he would just eat, and it was hard for him. On the show kind of showed some pictures and everything. He told how, to be able to be on Survivor and to kind of last couple years, he's changed his life. He's, lost a ton of weight, looks amazing. He's been, using that motivation of Survivor to be able to kind of lose that extra little bit that he needed to. And he told a story how he was just at a family gathering, but he was sitting in the car and he's eating, and his mom came out and said, Jake, it's okay, we still love you, you don't have to be embarrassed what you're doing. But he said on Survivor, he said, no, I don't want to have this, I know this is a problem. And so that kind of got me thinking more of my food journey and kind of the way that I grew up. So I grew up, and as a little kid, food was a big part of my household. And I just look back at pictures and remember I'm the short, little kid before I hit my growth spurt, and I was pretty much just a round ball. It was crazy. I was a pretty big kid, and that was kind of hard for me because it's kind of a vicious cycle. As you're young, you're eating this food, and at a young age you don't necessarily understand it at first, but then you end up being, at least in my case, the biggest kid in the room. Everywhere you go, you're the biggest kid in the room, and then it's kind of hard. You want to make friends, and I had some amazing friends. It was, that was one of the great things about growing up where I had some amazing friends and everything. But it was always hard because I'm always the biggest one in the friend group, the biggest one in the classroom, and that was kind of just made me, a little sad. And the thing, as this cycle continues, you eat all this food, and you recognize, have these feelings, but then what do? What did I do is went back to the food. That was where I was finding my joy, my happiness, because I'm eating this, it tastes good, it's great, it's not a problem, and that made it even worse and worse. Just this cycle of just continuing to eat. And so it was kind of hard, and all the way through, up until middle school, that's when I really started to notice and be like, I don't like this, I gotta change. Started doing some sports like track and things like that. And and for the most part, all throughout middle school and high school, I didn't really get bullied or anything for it. I do remember in elementary a couple times, people calling me fat, and that kind of hurt. Like, I'm a young kid, that makes it a big struggle for me. When people are like, "Oh, you're a fat kid," like, um, and the thing was, I was a really big kid, um, and I wanted to kind of change that, and I did pretty well up until my sophomore year of high school. And in my sophomore year of high school, I was playing football, and I loved it. It was great, doing wonderful. And it's our second to last football game. And sorry, excuse me. It was our second to last football game. Just remember, I had just gotten a sack. It was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm doing great, and it was fourth down, about to get another stop. The ball gets snapped, and I'm getting double teamed. I'm kind of slipping in between them, but then their running back in the backfield is also there to help block. And lo and behold, who does he help block? He helps block me. Next thing I know, I'm on the ground, and there's 3 dudes on the ground, 2 linemen that were really big, just like my size, and then a running back on top of me. And that, I got up after that, but instantly I could feel some really bad pain. It wasn't until the next day, and that I found out I had a small fracture in my L5 vertebrae, and it was really hard to walk. It was just crazy because I remember being too stubborn. Like, people were like, "Oh, we'll get a stretcher to get you out," and I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And I just remember it taking me like 20 minutes just to walk to the car. That was how bad it was. And many sleepless nights after that, and many days going to the physical therapist, taking MRIs, x-rays, CAT scans, all this stuff, trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And then them deciding that you're too young to do surgery, we can't do that. So that kind of made my health just plummet. It went, whoo! And I was trying to work really hard to get back in, to be able to play football again. I really loved football. I wanted to play again. But with that, a lot of weight was added back on. And so that was my sophomore year. And then my junior year of high school, I just remember at one point, getting on the scale and just being 268 pounds, almost 270 pounds. Like, it was very big. It was a lot. I was one of the biggest kids in the school. And after spending that whole past year of this bad health cycle, not getting enough sleep, so that's bad for my health, just this depression that led to the more binge eating and eating a bunch of food because that was what was bringing me happiness when I was struggling so much with this back pain that led to me not being able to do a ton of things. That was a rough kind of time. And then I just remember when I had saw that number, I was like, I have to change something. And really, the thing that was hard too, because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go extra hard in the gym. I had that, I think it was my senior year. So after my junior year, spent all off season working out, and anyway, we had new coaches, and it was really great. They focused on fundamentals, working out, and just helped me get to like a better place, like physically, which was really good. And then this is kind of what my daily schedule would be like. I'd wake up at 5, I'd study. I had a church class in the morning I went to called seminary, so I went and studied there, and then I got to school. So I had my first period, I had a free period, so I went and usually worked out in the gym, probably 3, maybe 4 times a week, worked out in the gym. 5th period, I had my advanced weights, so I was working out then. Then after school, I did a special workout with my lineman coach and a couple other kids. So I was working out a ton and going at it, sometimes not really giving my body enough rest. But the problem is you could put all this work in, but if you're not eating correctly and you are just binge eating, not putting the right things into your body, you're not really gonna get the results you want. You're not gonna lose that weight that you want. And for me, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to lose that weight to be able to feel better about myself, to just find a little bit more joy in my life. And so it wasn't until football season had kind of finished where I was kind of, maybe I should focus a little more on my nutrition and try to eat healthier and eat better. And so from at the end of my senior year, I was probably about 235, 232. So I lost a decent amount of weight. I was looking better. And then that was after football season. But then I graduated in 2020, so COVID hit. And we couldn't go to school. So I lost my access to the gym that I was working out every day. And then we had a local gym, but it was COVID. It was shut down for a while. Finally, they were opening up, only a certain amount of people would go. So sometimes you'd go and not be able to actually go to the gym. So that outlet that I used with lifting weights and everything was kind of taken away. I saw more gaining of weight. And when I recognized that, I was like, oh no, this is bad. Tried to focus a little more, work a little harder, and kept it around 230, 235 to, try to help myself out with that. And flash forward, it doesn't help this whole time that I was working at, candy stores and places like that, making fudge, making sweets, and, eating it, which is just kind of, again, a vicious cycle. Like, oh, you're working, you're like, oh, I'm a little bit hungry, oh, let me eat a little sweet. Well, that doesn't satisfy you. That doesn't give you nourishment. That gives you that peak little high for a second of, oh, that was really good, I liked that. But then 20 minutes later, your stomach's like, and you need to eat something that's gonna fill you. And I think a lot of times when people think of healthy food or eating correctly, they think of really bland, disgusting, gross food, or super expensive food, like, oh, this non-GMO, vegan, expensive food that I have to buy, which is not entirely the case. You can eat healthy cheaply. And that kind of brings me to where I learned to do that. So, like I said earlier on, I served a mission in Boston 2 years for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I think that is kind of where I learned a little more how to eat healthier, but also eat healthy, and not spending a ton of money doing that. And we only had, a lot amount of money we can spend on our food. So I remember thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? Well, I hated tuna before, and me and my companion, we started making tuna, and using that in our food. And that, I was like, oh man, this is actually pretty good. Had great protein, wasn't a ton of calories and things like that. So we did a lot of that. I had some amazing friends that, we played basketball with, or we would work out together, and that also really did help me too. We kind of motivated each other to eat healthy and be the best that we could. And then from the start of that mission, my mission, I was around 230, 235-ish. And at the end, I finished at 195. I lost a lot of weight over those 2 years, gradually, through eating healthy, running, working out, and things like that. And that was just a really great blessing for me. And, I'm not going to say like now it's like perfectly, I don't have a problem with, I don't have the most healthy relationship with food now. I still find that sometimes I do overeat a little bit. But I also find now a lot of times I'm so conscious of it that I don't eat very much at all. And then I realize I'm not getting enough nutrients, and that's kind of a vicious cycle too. So it's trying to find that balance of, okay, eating enough for, to be able to be filled and have that nutrients, but not eating too much to where then I feel, bloated and just lackadaisical and without energy. And now I'm still hovering around that 195, 200, and I'm trying to keep it there and to continue to grow and look better. And I've said, honestly, it's been amazing. It's been great to kind of see that journey from 268 to now like 195, 200 kind of area, and to see the changes in my body physique and just how that brings me joy. I can look in the mirror and look at myself and be like, okay, I'm happy with that. Like, you look good, bro. Like, you're awesome. Now I can do that now. Before I couldn't. Before I, it was wake up or shower and be like, bro, what in the heck? Like, you're so big, and that's not okay to say to yourself, and that's rough because you go through that and that struggle, and then you put in that work to be able to, and that discipline to then lose all of that and look and say, oh, that's awesome. And even though I've gone through all of this and worked hard, I still have some problems sometimes. Like I said, sometimes still overeat, but I think one of the things I still haven't gotten over was I remember being younger in high school and all that stuff. You're the biggest person in the room, and so you automatically, and I find myself literally doing it right now as we speak, but you're this big guy, so you're like this, but you kind of automatically try to make yourself look and like feel smaller, so you're not as big as a presence in the room. And that's kind of hard now because I'm not a giant dude anymore. I should stand up straight, have my shoulders out, not, this hunched over, kind of crunched kind of thing that is, I don't know why I do it, but I know it's that psychological thing, trying to figure out, okay, how can I, not be seen as much because of this embarrassment of, oh man, I used to be so big. I've been thinking about this for just a couple weeks, and like going back and forth and thinking, I should actually talk about this, because I know there's a lot of people out there that struggle with eating disorders or with problems, whether it be binge eating or not eating enough, anorexia, things like that. And by no means am I in the best place to say, oh yeah, my relationship with food is so good. But I know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope for those who are struggling with that. I've found a lot of hope and a lot of joy, and I'm still trying to figure out ways I can find more as I make food that's delicious and healthy. And then also at the same time, as I'm making pastries, I'm becoming a pastry chef. I'm doing this podcast. Like, yes, you can enjoy the food world, the pastry world. You can indulge, but it's all about moderation. And you don't have to. I don't know if I'm just saying this for myself, but like, you don't have to always be eating everything, trying everything. You can be satisfied to know that what you've made or what you see is going to be good, and it's okay. And so now, kind of flash forward from when I used to find the joy in food from eating it, and because that's that vicious cycle I was in of, oh man, a lot of this food's great, and then seeing the effects from eating all of it, and then the depression, and then turning to the food again because that's the only thing that you're finding joy in. To now where I am wanting to take the joy that I find from food, from creating and giving, to turning it into giving more joy to other people, because people celebrate their special days with desserts, things like that, and I find so much joy in creating something that gives me purpose. I want other people to have joy from the things that I've created. And so now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I, keep myself and my relationship with food a healthy relationship, and help other people find joy but still have a healthy relationship with food, even though I'm making these great, desserts, pastries, whatever it may be. I want people to have joy to be able to eat those and be satisfied, but not feel like they've overindulged. I hope this kind of made sense what I was saying, and hopefully I was able to articulate what was going through my mind. It's good to kind of talk about it because it's not something I've really talked with anyone about, because food has been such a big part of my life, especially as it's part of my career. But I hope people are more aware of the struggles that people have with food and that they can help others with that. And hopefully someone out there is listening and looking at this podcast and seeing, okay, you know what? Like, I know there's going to be hope at the end and it'll be okay. I just think that was so cool seeing Jake O'Kane on Survivor talk about that. The courage that he had to come out and say, yeah, I struggle with this. I worked my butt off to be able to be where I'm at. And you know what? I've struggled with that too. And I've worked my butt off today. And so other people might struggle with that. And hopefully that they can work their butt off. And I'm in your corner cheering you on. I know that you can. There's hope. You can have a better relationship with food. And I'm excited to continue to grow my relationship with food and the people in the food industry and learn more every single day. But I do thank you all for listening to this. I don't know when I'm going to release it. It's November 2nd, 2023. When I record this, probably be released sometime in December during the holidays. But just remember, you can find joy in food and not be trapped by it. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I hope everyone has a sweet rest of their day. This is Chef Sodi signing off.